Well, you started dabbling in drugs relatively young.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid in the 60s, I started smoking weed when I was like 13. I was doing what kids do back then. I was take a little LSD. I would go to concerts. I started experimenting a little bit, but it was no issue. It was just, recreational stuff. Then when I was 19, my father was in the music business when I was 19, and became friends with Jay Black and the Americans, who was pretty popular back in the 60s. He had a couple of hit records, and they took me to Puerto Rico. They had to do some concerts in Puerto Rico in 1972, and so Jay had a big suite, and I would go up there, and he would sing opera to warm up his voice, and we would drink wine and smoke weed. And then the second and third night I went up there, and they were all snorting. They had this white powder on the table, and I walked up to the table and I said, "What's that?" And they said, "It's cocaine. You want some?" And I said, "Yeah," because and they gave me a straw, and I took a few hits, and and then 20 years later I had an issue with it, And then it was the 70s, Studio 54. I went back to New York. I started, hanging out in all the discos. Everybody was blowing. I mean. In this early 70s, everybody was blowing coke. The clubs, everywhere you went in Manhattan, everybody, wise guys, everybody was blowing coke. So, I just went with it. And later on, it became a problem, became an issue.
Right, because from what I understand, you never got made because of your drug habit.
No, that's not true. I never got made. I never was proposed back then. I didn't get proposed. When the books opened in the 70s, I was in prison. When I came out in the 80s, my father was already in prison, and soon as I got proposed right when I got clean. But I don't believe. Nobody ever told me because I was a drug addict, I wasn't getting straightened out. I just never was proposed. And John, in the interim, while I was using, he still looked out for me. The guy still helped me all the time. A matter of fact, I'll tell you a quick story. When I got out of treatment on a Wednesday in 1988. On February, I got out of a treatment on a Wednesday, and that Saturday I went to see John at his club, the Burger Hunt and Fish Club, because he had lunch there every Saturday. And I walked in, and he took me outside, just him and I, just the two of us, and he asked me how I was, and I said, "I'm all right." He goes, "Well, what do you think? You got that beat?" I said, "Yeah, I'm done." I said, "I'm finished. That was it." He says, "Well, do you need anything?" And I says, "Well, I don't have a car. I'm kind of broke." So he went back inside, and he called up this guy, and he came back, and he told me, "Listen, go to 84th Street and Atlantic Avenue. There's a car lot, and ask for this guy Anthony, and take a car." So I went there. I picked a white Bonneville out. I got the car. I went back to the club, and he handed me $2,000, and he told me, "Here's $2,000. I want you to come here every Saturday with $100. He said, "And don't disappoint me." I said, "All right." So I went the first Saturday, I gave him 100. I went the second Saturday, I gave him 100. The third Saturday I went, he says to me, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." He goes, "How much you owe me?" I said, "I owe you $1,700. He goes, "All right, keep it as a gift." So now here I am. I got out of treatment. He's the boss of the Gambino family. He gave me a car, and he gave me a $1,700 gift. The guy always looked out for me.